Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. I want to start off by giving all praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rachav Kodash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations unto all the brethren doing his work in truth and sincerity, and also unto the men, women, and children that believe, of the hopeful elect, I say Shalom. And real quick, I just wanted to play this video for you brothers and sisters here from RT News America. And as you can see, the title of this video reads, Japan moves toward a cashless society. So as you can see, man, the world is moving closer and closer unto the mark of the beast, man. All right, unto going cashless. And this RFID chip, which is indeed the mark of the beast, will be the new currency of the planet Earth, man. All right. And we here at Great Millstone, starting with our apostles and the elders on down, constantly push this information out to warn the sheep, all right, to warn the people, man, that this is coming, man, all right, that this will be the new way of life, man. This RFID chip will cover everything concerning payments, all right, but also medical information, identification, and plenty other things, man, all right. It's here, man, okay? It's getting close, man. It's only a matter of time before this thing become mandatory, man. It's only a matter of time before all nations had to accept this way of life, man. All right? And you have people denying it, okay? Saying, the RFID chip in the mark of the beast is philosophy, it's an embargo, it's religion, it's all kind of, look, bro, you niggas, man, all right, will be put to shame before all the world, man. Well, I won't say all the world, before all Israel, man. I'm glad that you're professing out to Israel that, the mark of the beast and the RFID chip is this, is that. I'm glad you're doing that, man. So when that time comes, they can see you as false prophets, man. And they're going to come for you, man. All right? And so I'll play this video, man. And hopefully, hopefully this be edifying to you, brothers and sisters. All praise to Yahweh by Shema Shai. Shalom.
For being at the cutting edge of technology, and this time they may go one step further and drop cash for cryptocurrency. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has a plan to make 40% of payments in the country cashless by 2025. And there's added pressure to prepare for the influx of cashless payments ahead of next year's Olympics in Tokyo. However, crypto investors remember the hack of a Tokyo-based Bitcoin platform where hackers made off with $450 million. For more, we go to investigative journalist Ben Swan. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Scotty.
Okay, so the claim is that in advance of the 2020 Olympics in Japan, the country may adopt a blockchain technology for payment processing. But isn't Bitcoin too slow? Is this a little ambitious?
Well, it is ambitious, first of all, and yes, you're right. Bitcoin is too slow at this point. It takes way too long to process a transaction. There's a lot of discussion about how to make it faster, but the truth is, you don't have to make Bitcoin faster, because Bitcoin, even though it's the largest cryptocurrency, especially in terms of market cap and price, is not the most technologically advanced cryptocurrency. And so there's already existing cryptos like Dash and Smart Cash that both use a system called Instant Pay, which is actually faster right now than Visa or MasterCard when you use those processes in order to make transactions. So the technology is already there. I think that a lot of the writers and journalists who write about this automatically assume that Bitcoin is the crypto that would be used. Doesn't have to be. The technology is far beyond just that one space.
Well, it's interesting that you bring it up, because honestly, when I think of cryptocurrency, like you said, Bitcoin kind of is the name. It's kind of like the Apple of technology. It's the first thing, the branding comes to it. In fact, I think people know Bitcoin and not necessarily this idea of cryptocurrency. Why is it? Is it because they were the first ones out there to kind of get their name, or is it just a really good PR campaign?
No, it's simply because when Satoshi wrote this white paper originally for the idea of cryptocurrency, right, based on the blockchain, Bitcoin was the first manifestation of that in terms of a currency. And so because it was first and it's still the largest, that's where people associate. But again, the technology behind Bitcoin itself, and that's why there have been so many offshoots, is antiquated in comparison to where a lot of these crypto go. So I think the chance that the Japanese would actually be using Bitcoin is pretty limited. What may come of it is their own entirely new cryptocurrency, or they might adopt just technology from some of, as I said, some of the existing ones that are out there.
Well, that's interesting because a number of big blockchain companies are betting on Japan as this testing ground for a cashless society. How will that work? Is this, it's hard for us. We've now kind of changed over to where our iPhone, we have Apple Pay. We don't even care cash anyways. But in this case, it's a little bit different. How does it work?
So look, there's a lot of people who, when you say cashless, get scared, right? Mm-hmm. And there are people who are like, oh my gosh, that's a terrible idea because cash is the only safe thing that keeps government from being involved. That's simply not true. So the way it works, especially with cryptocurrency, and what's important about this is that it is a bankless system, meaning you don't have to transact through a bank. You don't have to transact through a third party, whether it be a Visa or MasterCard or, a Wells Fargo. And instead, you have those options as well as peer-to-peer transactions that can take place. So you and I can trade cryptocurrency and there's no third party involved, and it can be done anonymously, or it can be done, in a way that makes it public. So there's a lot of variation here. Cashless simply means that you don't have to have a currency that's printed by some government or by some Federal Reserve bank someplace, denoted as a currency, which gives a lot more freedom in how this whole thing would play out.
Well, that's the thing. You mentioned there will be no banks, there will be Visa, MasterCard. We know what a big role that they play, especially even in the government. How are they reacting to this surge in the popularity of cryptocurrency, which I imagine they was hoping was going to go away the day after it got started? Are there any pushbacks? Are they doing anything to try to get into the game of this?
Oh, they're absolutely getting into the game of it. Bank of America right now holds 41 blockchain patents. Some people say, well, they're buying up those patents in order to protect themselves against the technology. Others say they're buying up those patents in order to utilize the technology. There are a lot of banks that are moving into this space. JP Morgan and their CEO, Jamie Dimon, he hates cryptocurrency, he says, but JP Morgan is in the process of buying up blockchain technology and moving in that direction. So there is a public face that says, we don't like this thing, it's a negative. But I think that those banks recognize that this is where the future is headed, and they're trying to get out in front of it. Eventually, what they would love to do is create one set of cryptocurrency that has to flow through them, which is why I'm such an advocate for decentralized currencies that don't rely on one authority figure to control it.
Well, it's obvious that you are such an advocate for some of these currencies, so I have to ask you, what are the biggest pitfalls when talking about this? Obviously, people have a lot of hesitancy. I'll admit it. I have a lot of hesitancy when it comes to it, and a lot of it's from just not knowing all of the details behind it. So what are some of the biggest pitfalls that you're having to answer for when people ask you why you're such an advocate for some of these lines?
It's a great question. So a couple things. First of all, one of the big pitfalls is that if you get into this space and you don't understand the technology surrounding it, it's easy for someone to trick you, to take your crypto from you, to hack your wallets. So there are steps that people have to take in order to protect themselves, and there's definitely a learning curve for most people on what that looks like. The other thing is most of this crypto now is linked to smartphones, and that can create huge security problems of protecting your crypto because it's easy to get hacked that way and people to get into it. So I'd say that's a big pitfall. The other thing is there's a lot of debate right now within the crypto community about where it goes from here. Does it become a centralized currency or does it remain decentralized? And there's people on both sides advocating for both. I think as long as we keep a lot of decentralization in this space, not entirely necessarily, but you got to keep at least a large portion of it decentralized, meaning there's no one figurehead on top, and you have the developers and the users have a huge role in how the economies work and where the tokens go and how they're controlled. I think that is a great example of how true capitalism can actually work, how a true free market can work. But the pitfall there is there's always bad players and there are always people who are there to take advantage, and we have to fight against that.
Well, it's interesting. Like I said, this is something that I thought possibly was not going to last longer than a year, and it's obviously continued to gain steam and more people trying to put more safeguards on it to make sure that people feel comfortable using this as their main type of currency. Thank you so much for going into this with us, Ben.
Thanks, Scotty.
Hey, YouTube. Thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's